One shield Shadow Mamo versus the world back out. Comes Metagross, time to commit that final shield. Meteor Mash absolutely would be one shot, and we are looking to get rid of this Metagross as soon as possible. Avalanche, even resisted, does big resisted damage. One more Powder Snow takes him out. We've got that low health Machamp, and whatever's in the back, and it's a Garchomp, it's going to be high Garchomp by Garchomp. Then it's going to be counter versus Powder Snow. Who will win? The Machamp is super low. And if you want to see if Shadow Mamoswine sweeps the team, you're going to have to watch the video to find out. So welcome back to the home of Shadow Pokemon. Yes, we're back at it again with the triple Shadow teams. A huge shout out to Gilbot. We're going to call Gil for the duration of the video. He has submitted a super impressive triple Shadow team, absolutely destroying the Master Premier Cup. But that's enough talking from me. So without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, we need Shadow Dragonite into Togekiss, the absolute nightmare lead, and immediate pivot into the big thick boy, Shadow Snorlax. The opponent answers with Excadrill. Not the worst matchup, Body Slam is resisted. However, if you land the superpower, the little mole is going to get vanquished back to its Pokeball. We tank the Drill Run. Over farm, we are going to shield up the next draw, and it looks like Gil is going for the back-to-back superpowers. We continue to over farm, and there's no bait. Straight for the superpower. Does the opponent respect the damage? Yes, they do. However, there's plenty more of where that come from. Snorlax is debuffed, but superpower still going to be enough to knock out the opponent. Desperately trying to maintain alignment, they have committed both shields. Gil is going to allow his Snorlax to go down and put it all on Shadow Mamoswine, sweeping the back line. Excadrill far too healthy for an aggressive Powder Snow farm down, so Gil comes in to his Dragonite. I'd probably tank the Rock Slide. That looks like the play Gil is going to do and try to aggressively Dragon Breath down this thing. The opponent realizes they're going to get farmed down and pivot back out into Togekiss. But guess what, Mr. Opponent? We have the absolute ice monster known as Mamoswine lurking in the back. Avalanche completely one-shots Togekiss. And that final Pokemon is Dragonite. Holy crap, is Mamo about to sweep? I think the answer is going to be yes. We are going to shield up the Dragon Claw. We've hit a Charge Move priority event. We did lose CMP. However, Avalanche is going to take care of Dragonite. When the mole does return, they're going to need to mud shot. Farm us down, they're unable to. We simultaneously KO. Dragonite still alive, and we're off to a very impressive 1-0 start. Moving on to the next one. We see Dragonite into Ursaluna. Pretty good matchup. Dragon Rev ripping apart the opponent. If they're on Thunder Punch, they can hit for neutral. However, if they're on Fire Punch and high horsepower, Dragonite does resist absolutely everything, much like the matchup versus Groudon, where they normally run Earthquake and Fire Punch. Dragonite commits to the Dragon Breath farm down, and it becomes pretty apparent why the opponent stayed in. A very terrible matchup, as their best answer for a loaded Dragonite is their own Dragonite. It looks like the opponent's actually on Steel Wing as well. Interesting. Steel Wing definitely isn't the play, either on Dragon Tail or Dragon Breath. Either way, we make the third Dragon Claw, and the opponent quickly realizes the team comp is pretty dreadful, and they concede the match. Moving on to the next one. We see Dragonite into Florges, absolutely dreadful immediate pivot into the big thick boy, Shadow Snorlax, and the opponent answers with Surfetched, a pretty cool flex pick. However, Surfetched, due to its lack of bulk, really doesn't have the best matchup here, despite hitting for super effective with the counters. You can see Lick is pretty much keeping pace with the counter damage. The opponent fires off the Leaf Blade. Snorlax shrugs it off and makes Body Slam. Number 2, this should get the Surfetched super low. The opponent's actually committed 2 shields to guarantee switch, so despite having the inferior typing advantage in the mid game, Snorlax has put in a whole heap of work. Gil sends back out Dragonite. Even if this is a Brave Bird, it's really not worth a shield, as this Dragonite is going to do absolutely nothing against the Florges. Just a Leaf Blade. Dragonite shrugs it off. The opponent makes one more charge move, an instant no shield. The opponent fires the resisted close combat. That does get Dragonite below half health, and it's now 2 shield Mamo versus the world. And holy smokes, the opponent stayed in far too long. They're now sacrificing their Dragonite to the Pokegods. It's straight in and straight out. Back out comes Florges, but I don't think this Florges is going to have any chance of getting rid of this Mamo. They go for the Disarming Voice bait. However, no amount of master baiting is going to save the opponent from the wrath of Shadow Mamo. They fire off another Disarming Voice. Gil continues to overfarm, and the opponent finally concedes the match. Moving on to the next one. We see Dragonite into Swampert. Pretty dreadful in any league, but Master League is probably worse than ever, as Dragonite's stat product is far superior. The opponent now makes a very questionable switch, sending out Magnezone into a loaded Dragonite. We go straight for the superpower. The opponent shields it up. We now switch out into Snorlax, which is going to be operating as the damage sponge. The opponent went straight for the wild charge. Snorlax's bulk at level 50, absolutely ridiculous. That wild charge didn't even do half health. The opponent fires off the mirror shot. Gil goes straight for the superpower. The opponent already down one shield. They've actually committed their final shield, desperately trying to win switch. Gil could shield this up, however, he's just going to save 2 shields for the backline. The opponent goes for the mirror shot. Holy smokes, it doesn't even knock out Snorlax. Snorlax makes one final superpower, and holy smokes, the opponent in absolute shambles. Back out comes Swampert. The opponent gets the mud shot farm down, even if they're on Sludge Wave. Dragonite isn't too worried. We come in, fire off the Dragon Claw. It looks like a charge move priority event. Dragon Claw gets Swampert super low. Let's see what moveset the opponent has got. I'm going to say Hydro Cannon, and it is just a Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon, absolutely busted move, but holy smokes, that did nothing to Dragonite. Dragonite shrugs it off. It's Machamp in the back. Dragon Claw near one-shots Gil. Still has 2 shields. Are we going to 2-shield flex? It looks like we are. The opponent goes for the cross-chop. Dragonite doesn't need to shield. Back out comes Swampert. Gil decides he is going to shield this up. I think whatever he does, this is going to be G to the G. And we're going to say thanks for playing. Moving on to the next one. We see Shadow Dragonite into a purified Charizard. This opponent is running Fire Spin. I'm not really sure if Fire Spin is what you're looking for. It would be advantageous when you see something like a Metagross, Magnezone or Excadrill, but it's going to be objectively worse against pretty much everything else. I think you want to invest that Elite TM and get yourself Legacy Wing Attack. The opponent fires off the Dragon Claw. We're now in the 1-to-1 shield. The opponent pivots out into Magnezone, and Gil makes a beautiful catch of the mirror shot, catching it on the big thick boy Shadow Snorlax. And like we saw in the previous battle, these mirror shots do absolutely nothing to level 50 Snorlax. The opponent full sends the wild charge, and Snorlax still pretty happy and pretty healthy. Gil gets a bit too greedy. The Magnezone was definitely in body slam range. He's choosing to commit a shield and go for the full lick down. I don't really hate this play, as we have got a lot of residual energy. Good to go. The opponent's final Pokemon is Machamp. Snorlax gets the final shield with the body slam. Snorlax going to make one more body slam. I think you want to go for the superpower there. It does do slightly more damage. Aggressive switch into Dragonite. Dragon Claw will be taking care of Machamp. Back out comes Charizard. Charizard on Fire Spin, not generate energy, nearly quick enough, and Dragonite makes the final Dragon Claw to take that game. GG's, and thanks for playing. Shadow Mammoth getting a rest on the bench after putting in a lot of work in the previous battles. We see Dragonite into Gyarados in the next battle. The Gyarados is on Waterfall, so a really comfortable matchup for Dragonite, but Gil has opted to save switch into his Snorlax. We are actually running an ABB team, so we do need to try and draw out any counter user. It looks like the opponent doesn't have one, as they are opting to stay in. With the Gyarados, they land the crunch. They get the defense drop. Gil continuing to overfarm. He is going to shield this up and look to commit to the lick farm down. The opponent draws a shield. With the Aqua Tail, they do now pivot out before getting licked down and send out Swampert. Swampert not going to appreciate the body slam spam of Snorlax. We land the first. We're already at the second. Surely the opponent isn't going to shield. No, and we've got Dragonite in the back. The opponent shows great awareness. Not shielding Swampert, they farm up to the back-to-back Hydros. The first Hydro Cannon is going to take care of Snorlax. However, Swampert's going to have a pretty rough time of it. When we do send back out the Dragonite, the opponent is going to fire off another Hydro Cannon, and we've already seen this does absolutely nothing to Dragonite. Dragonite shrugs it off, commits to the Dragon Breath farm down. And the opponent sends out a Legacy Smackdown Tyranitar. Tyranitar with 2 shields is going to put in a whole heap of work against the back line. The opponent attempted to make a catch. They were unsuccessful, so Gil can now shield up this move. Get both shields off the Tyranitar with back-to-back Avalanches. Then he can superpower it to the face. So I think the opponent has kind of thrown this matchup. Well, I don't know if they've thrown. I think Mamo probably was in a good position to get both shields. They obviously attempted to catch. They were unsuccessful. Gil does get both shields. Now we're going to hit him with that bang to the face. But no! What the heck? I think Gil's done a play that I've done many times. I change teams often, forgot which side his charge move is on. We fire off the Dragon Claw. It doesn't knock out. And we take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. As the opponent did have a move loaded, you can see it was a charge move priority event. Gil had no choice but to fire immediately, and heartbreakingly we hit the wrong charge move. It is what it is, these things happen. In the next battle we see Shadow Dragonite into Metagross. This matchup has become a whole heap better since Dragonite got access to Superpower Gil, shields up the Meteor Mash and he's going straight for the Superpower Metagross. Returns the shield and now we see the pivot into Snorlax again. I really like this play. Remember, if you are on an ABB team, ABB basically means you've got two B types that have a shared weakness in the back and your A type is that counter for it. So in this example, we are double weak to counter Dragonite is the A type to take care of any fighters. How our ABB team works, you basically pivot out into one of the Bs. You generally lose switch, however your A type can come back in and get rid of it, just like in this example here. However, the opponent chooses to shield up the Machamp. They are going to go for a Rock Slide. Rock Slide is going to take us out as Machamp is so low. Gil can come in, easily commit to the Powder Snow farm down. The opponent realizes they're going to get farmed down. They pivot out into Metagross. It's Mamoswine versus the world. We did commit our final shield on the Meteor Mash. We return fire with an Avalanche, even resisted. It does big damage. One more Powder Snow takes him out, and it's a Garchomp in the back. Garchomp double weak. Two Ice, they're about to get returned to their Pokeball, and it's going to be counter versus Powder Snow. Who's going to win the race? And it's a simultaneous KO. GG's to both trainers. Moving on to the next battle. We see Dragonite into a shiny Gyarados. The opponent this time pivots out into Excadrill. Gil does go straight for the Superpower. However, it looks like a charge move priority event. So Excadrill is going to commit a shield. However, with our lowered defense, we are going to be forced to return the shield as Rock Slide would almost one-shot with a -1 defense. Gil now pivots out into Snorlax. Excadrill being super squishy just with the Dragon Breath damage. They're already in the yellow, so Gil can absorb all of this energy. The opponent's going to fire off another Drill Run, and he can just go straight Body Slam. So it looks like we are going to be able to maintain the correct alignment. I highly doubt the opponent does shield up this Body Slam, which they don't. And our Snorlax is low enough where the opponent isn't going to be able to get too much farm. The opponent sends back out Gyarados. Snorlax makes one final Body Slam for some chip damage, and the opponent is on Waterfall, so this is going to be a beautiful matchup for our Dragonite. Gil waits out his timer, sends out Dragonite. We do have to be mindful of a potential outrage. Gil fires off the Dragon Claw. The opponent commits the final shield, so perhaps they are actually on outrage. The opponent pivots out now into Togekiss, and Gil, super clever, doesn't fire off the double resisted Dragon Claw on this Togekiss. He comes in with the Mamo. Togekiss gets absolutely wrecked. Back out comes Gyarados, and one Powder Snow is all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. Moving on to the next one, we see another Legacy Tyranitar in the lead. Smackdown hitting for massive, super effective damage. However, Dragon Breath is going to do what Dragon Breath always does and shred the opponent. We fire off the Superpower, pivot out into Snorlax, and the opponent answers with a Mudshot Garchomp. Snorlax, not the best in this matchup, not the worst. The Body Slams and Licks do add up. However, you can see Garchomp is the king of the Master League. Premier Classic has got a huge stat product, and it does tank these charge moves pretty well. They go straight for the Earth Power. Gil continues to overfarm. It looks like he's just sacking the Snorlax. I think this is a pretty clever play, as if he can come back in with Dragonite, completely Dragon Breath it down before they reach a charge move, which he does. He should be able to force the final shield off the opponent. Back out comes Tyranitar. Gil does commit a shield. We're in the 1-to-1 shield. We're pretty close to the Superpower. Superpower is either going to knock out or force the final shield. The opponent lets it go. They've got their own Dragonite in the back, and this is going to be game over. The opponent still has one shield, so Gil goes for the correct play and just goes for a fast move beat down. The opponent fires off the Dragon Claw. Mamoswine does shield it up. Dragonite is going to make one final Dragon Claw. This is going to take care of Mamoswine. However, our Dragonite is healthier than theirs, and we Dragon Breath down for the win. Very well played. Moving on to the next one. We see Dragonite into Metagross. Again, let's see if we go for the Superpower and pivot out into Snorlax. We are going straight for it. There's no over farming. Superpower draws a shield, and we do see that pivot into Snorlax. The opponent looking to chip and dip, so perhaps they haven't got a counter user. The opponent actually fires on Earthquake. Earthquake and Meteor Mash both do the same amount of damage, so just go for a Meteor Mash. as it would be more energy efficient. But getting back into the battle, the opponent answers our Snorlax safe switch. With Togekiss, Snorlax does win this in all even shields. The opponent not willing to shield, it looks like they are lagging. Snorlax gets the lick down. Potentially the opponent has completely lagged out of the battle. They actually haven't lagged out, so perhaps they wanted to come in with Garchomp and commit to a Dragon Tail farm down. However, this Snorlax is going to put in quite a lot of work against the Garchomp. We land the first body slam. Snorlax gets to the second body slam, which gets Garchomp deep into the yellow. The opponent now pivots out into Metagross. Gil can now send back out his Dragonite, as Mamoswine really doesn't want to see a bullet punch user. Dragonite is in a pretty difficult spot here. Does Gil commit the final shield? Yes, he does. It looks like the Metagross is getting pretty low. We probably could go straight Dragon Claw at this stage, but he opts to go straight for the Super Power. The opponent is saving that shield for Garchomp, and hi Garchomp, meet Mamoswine. The opponent fires off the Earth Power. Mamoswine shrugs it off, and we Powder Snow farm down and take that game. It looks like we see some deja vu. Another Metagross in the lead. Let's see if Gil overfarms or goes straight for the Super Power this time. He does overfarm, so he does commit a shield on the Meteor Mash. Two things I've noticed in the battle is Gil doesn't like to bait, #no baits on this channel. And the second thing is all Metagross do choose to shield like this one does. Gil does draw a shield this time. He's going to stay in and fire off the second Super Power debuff. This isn't going to knock out, but does get Metagross into the red. We come in to Snorlax. The opponent doesn't react quick enough. We do get the snipe with the licks, and now out comes Dragonite. So Gil in a pretty good spot here. Snorlax, Dragonite pretty neutral. They do not need to land a Super Power to take us out. However, it looks like the opponent is going to go straight Dragon Claw, so an easy no shield from Gil. We are going to outpace to the next body slam. This won't knock out, but we'll get Dragonite pretty low. Dragonite now deep in the red. The opponent banks a Dragon Claw, pivot out into Garchomp, and Garchomp is going to be met with yet another body slam. Snorlax, what a monster. Gil now pivots out into his Dragonite. He gets Garchomp pretty low. This is going to be a bit tricky. Garchomp already on 5 Dragon Tails. That's 6. That's 7. The opponent has enough for an Outrage or an Earth Power. Gil clicks no shield, and holy smokes, what an insane call. I've got no idea why the opponent didn't throw the big move, as it's only going to make 1. The only logical answer is that perhaps they've got Earthquake as a second move, and then they would be 1 Dragon Tail short, as it does take 8 Dragon Tails to the first Earthquake. Moving on to the next battle. For the third straight time, we do see a Metagross in the lead. This time, both trainers farm up a whole heap of energy. Gil shields up the Meteor Mash, and he's going straight for the Super Power. Does the opponent shield? No, they don't. The first one that doesn't shield, then we get the snipe with Snorlax. The opponent now sends out another Dragon Tail Garchomp. Snorlax is going to do Snorlax things and spam out a few body slams. You can see Garchomp tanks it super well. The opponent is farming up towards an Earth Power or Outrage. Gil just going to allow Snorlax to go down, and the opponent does throw the Outrage. Snorlax again, so thick. My God, am I jealous of people that have a level 50 Shadow Snorlax. I'm a scrub and I've got about 130 XL candies. Rip me. The Energized Garchomp is easily farmed down by our Dragonite, and it's a 2-shield Togekiss in the back. Holy shit, this is going to be tricky. We should be able to get 2 shields off this Togekiss. However, can we get it into Super Power range? Togekiss, due to its Fairy, Flying type in double resist, both Dragon Claw and Super Power, but Super Power does hit harder despite not getting same type attack bonus. We do shield up the Ancient Power. Luckily, the opponent doesn't get a boost. Is this in Super Power range? It is in the red. Surely Shadow Dragonite is going to take it out. No, it doesn't, but we do manage to Dragon Breath farm down. Fuck my life, that was close. Very well played. Moving on to the next battle, we don't see Metagross in the lead. We see the Dragonite mirror. So it is going to be about charge move priority. It looks like Gil doesn't go for the CMP. He takes the extra Dragon Breath. Gil now continues to overfarm. He banks a boatload of energy and pivots out into Snorlax, looking for the snipe. We don't get the snipe. We do catch a Dragon Claw. One more lick takes care of the Dragonite. And now we see another Fire Spin Charizard. Interesting. Master League is the home of the big boys. You can really see the difference in stat product. Charizard does not tank that body slam particularly well. Gil no shields the blast burn, and the big thick boy shrugs it off, and it makes another body slam. Gil, what are you doing to me? I'm so sad I don't have a level 50 Snorlax. We managed to flip switch. The opponent has a 2-shield Excadrill versus the world, but Gil banked a boatload of energy in the opening matchup, so we can fire off back-to-back superpowers. The opponent does shield up. We now pivot out into Mamoswine, and Mamoswine does actually win the 1 shield here. The opponent goes for the drill run. Mamoswine shrugs it off. Avalanche will be getting the final shield off the opponent. And Gil sitting pretty comfortably. He can either shield up the next move from Excadrill and get off an Avalanche, who can save his shield for next season and hit Excadrill with a superpower to the face. And as Niantic never fix this game, I think saving a shield is always wise. GG's and thanks for playing. So those were the battles with a triple Shadow team in the Master League Premier. Huge shout out to Gil for the submission. I personally am taking a break from battling as I was suffering from some burnout, so it's great to see other trainers carrying that triple Shadow flag. I really like the way Gil played an ABB team, and I think all 3 Pokemon performed fantastically. Snorlax, what an absolute monster. I always said when Mlpc was here, that thing is the best safe switch, and my god, at level 50, is it thick. Mamoswine managed to sweep a few teams with its oppressive Powder Snow Avalanche high horsepower moveset. And as we all know, Dragon is a very, very busted type in, especially Dragon Breath. It was shredding absolutely everything. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you'd like your battles featured on the channel. A link to my battle submission form is down below. I'd just like to say thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.